Please be patient. We will start.
Okay. Hi folks. Welcome to our today's webinar with the main content Smart Home Luxor Living. And what we are doing today, or what we are presenting today, we will update you with the latest news in regards of DALI broadcast dimmer and the motion detector, which fits finally in an ideal manner to our smart home solution Luxor Living. Hopefully you will have some good insights in the next heading, approximately 30 minutes. Yeah, well, so let's get started with the DALI dimmer, a brand new product, and the good news is available on stock. So that means the demand for DALI solutions, especially in smart home solutions, has been increased in the last months, and due to that we decided to develop this product. What was the intention of us? It was finally to make it easy to operate, easy to integrate, easy to use, and here we do have the reasonable product. That means 70 millimeters in the size, small, easy to operate. You discover here, you do have here these push buttons. In any cases, you can dim up, dim down manually, even in the event, for instance, if the product is not programmed yet, but installed, powered by 230 volt, for instance. So then you can manually operate directly on a device, testing if the light structure behind is following the command on, off, or dimming in 25%. What we did as well, the upgrade for the app of Luxor Living. So that means we have integrated this dimmer as well in the app, in the programming tool. And you can discover here, for instance, here and here, there must be more than just DALI dimming on off. This dimmer is rather powerful. This dimmer is supporting us with data point 8 DALI control commands here. So that means we can do monochrome LED lights, we can do HCL lights, so color temperature controlled lights. We can control as well colored LEDs, if you like. Or we can integrate as well DALI relays, if you like. Yeah, well, so in total, all in all, one channel, and you discover here 4 channels, 1, 2, 3, 4. Each of these channels supports you for up to 30 DALI switchgears, DALI lights, however, and it's quite a lot. And so, in this case, an ideal solution for private villa, private apartment, however, or for industrial purposes, however. So flexible, 30 lights is quite a lot. And the power supply is integrated in this dimmer, so there is no additional support in externally needed, finally. Yeah, well, this controller is developed according to DALI 2 standards. So that means the latest communication of DALI. And this is finally future-orientated, future-proofed in that terms. And due to the decision we took, finally, it is a broadcast dimmer. So that means you apply LEDs and they are working directly. So that means from the, let's say, installing side, installing side, we do the following. We do have here the dimmer. Like mentioned, we do have here the options for manual operation. We do have here the power supply, which we need, 230. We need the communication to the smart home bus system. And you discover here channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4. DA. So that means there is nothing to add. I take here, for example, a small demo. We have here a small switch gear. We use here in our demo later on some, let's say, different stripes, LED stripes. So the wiring is like that. Important is finally, we do have here on each of the switch gears the two DA communication tools or two communication terminals. And this has just to be applied here and here, yeah, like that. And you can directly control here this light structure here, this light installation directly. So that means easy to install, easy to commission. If you want, for instance, so I take this, at that stage I think it makes sense as well. You can control as well DALI relays. You discover here DA, and you discover here DA. You have just to link these two terminals, and with this channel or with the second channel, however, whatever you want, you can directly control as well a DALI relay if you like. For which purpose? So just to take this currently as a small example. So if you want to control, for instance, 3 channels of DALI-based lights, and probably in your apartment or whatnot, you do have a chandelier who is not corresponding, who is not talking DALI communication. So then you take just this relay and you drive the relay, and the relay, there is a switching contact inside with 13 amps of switching power, and with this relay you drive, in this case, the, let's say, the light who is not corresponding to DALI, or you drive, for instance, a ventilation for air exchange or whatever. So just to make you acquainted with what you can do finally. Yeah. Furthermore, let's go ahead in terms of what is the advantage of, let's say, the app. The app, like mentioned before, we have integrated in the app now, for instance, color control. We have integrated tunable white, so HCL control, for instance. All these you can use, you can make use of it finally with the app. The app is updated already, so that means in the Play Store, in the App Store, finally, you get the latest version, which is updated with these new functions, which we are talking currently about. Makes sense, I think? So just a few ideas, so how the app finally looks like. I think this is not that really interesting. I will show you later on in a few seconds in real life. And I think this is more impressive. You get more deep details about, let's say, how to operate and where you find finally what. For that purpose, I switch now to the display. I have to switch over. Okay, now I have it. So, and now I open, or I have already opened, the Luxor Plug software. Assuming that you are acquainted with, so how Luxor Living, the plug operation works. Due to that, I have already started the scan, because you know the scan is finally taking a few minutes time, depends on how many appliances finally are integrated in this BUSK system, and this I already did in order to save some time. What I did now, and you could see while speaking, so I have integrated now a room, and in the room I want to integrate now this 4-volt DALI dimmer. So on the right hand side you discover here, okay, there is a DALI dimmer, 4-volt, yes. You discover here, for instance, EON communication terminal or push button terminal finally, and you discover finally, this we will talk later on about, a motion detector. And these are the appliances which I want to integrate in a small system, in a small solution. I don't talk about shutters control, blind control, weather station and so on. I just concentrate on these 2 new products, and I want to give them a reasonable function. And I want to show how easy it is finally. Yeah, let's assume, so we do need 4 of these, let's say, dimming channels. Probably we have a large living room, or probably a small company with different, let's say, meeting rooms or whatever. And we want to give them a specific, let's say, light design with DALI. So the dimmer I have, let's say, preset well, and now I want to integrate now my dimmer functions into this project. So I take here channel 1 and I drop it here, and I decide here finally if I want to have a color control or monochrome light control. For that purpose, I just share the panel which I'm using later on or in a few minutes in physically. So just to describe, so I have here a monochrome LED. I do have here monochrome here as well. This one and this one is tunable white, so color temperature. And here I do have a color control, which I want to control finally. And I do have here in the background, for instance, a DALI relay. And here finally the Eon with whom I want to on off, to dim up and down and so on. And later on I want to control this with the app as well. So just to make you acquainted, so what is the purpose? So that means the first channel of the dimming, for instance, I don't want to have any color control. I can adjust here, for instance, the minimum dimming value, and this always is related to how powerful finally your LED light finally is. Is this LED light supporting, let's say, dimming values from 1–2% upwards, or if they are just starting at approximately 10%? This answer you have to give, and here you can preset the reasonable value. I do just preset, let's say, a medium value, so that means when I start, so it always pops up with 50%, and from this point I can dim up or I can dim down. Or for instance, sorry, my mistake, so 5%, so these LEDs are able to do that. I can decide here, this was the wrong table here, I can decide finally, so if I restart again, if I on the lights as well, again, so if the LED shall start with the last value, or do I have a preferred value, for instance, which I want to have, yeah? So in this case, now it's right, so for instance, I take 50%, so somewhere in the middle, and that's it. The dimming time, the dimming speed finally, probably could be 4 seconds, could be good, and that's it. So then I take the next one. Just drop it, same stuff, no color control. I want to have 4 seconds as an example. The minimum dimming is able to dim down on 5%, and I want to have here as well, for instance, 50% of the values, and done. Then channel 3, I just drop it here. So and now in this case, you remember the third row is finally the color temperature. For that purpose I have to change here to the setting color temperature and modify here as well to 4 seconds, because this LED stripe is rather fast. The switching dimming shall switch on, yeah, let's decide here to 30% as an example. And oh, sorry, same stuff. Yeah, no, I can keep it here to 10%, and I want to have here, for instance, the last value, and the color change shall be, for instance, within 2 seconds or probably 4 seconds. I'll leave it in 4 seconds, and that's it. Yes. And now, last but not least, I do have here the color control, and in this case I do have here RGBW, so you can decide if, and this is a matter of finally, so what are the abilities of your LED stripes finally, if you do have here RGB, red, green, blue, or if you do have here RGBW, so that means if the LED stripes are powerful enough that they have a separate white channel. So this you have decided finally. In our case, we do have RGBW. I decide to take this one here. So now the dimming speed as well. Minimum dimming is down to 5%. I want to start with the last value, for instance, and to change the dimming color. so is approximately 4 seconds, is okay so far. So then the dolly dimmer is customized. Then we want to operate, let's say, with a push button or with a display, however, and for that purpose I'm using here the Eon. So with the push button 1, I do get here, for instance, the LED monochrome, and it's just dimming up and down, and that's it. I take the second one, this one, same stuff, LED monochrome, and this is the LED 2 probably, so because it's a second row. So just to orientate, fine. Then I do have here with the push button 3, I take this one here, and this is tunable white or HCl or whatever, or color temperature, whatever you want to name or how you to name it. Finally, so this is the control for the tunable white, and this one, for instance, is the color control. So dimming up, dimming down, and that's it. So what you discover, that the function here, I just open it again, the function here is just dimming up and dimming down. You don't find here any parameters to modify, to change the color. The thing is, finally, with the push button, so that means with the Eon, which I have integrated here in this project, so you can dim up, dim down, you can on off, yes, but the change or the choice of the color you intend to use, nevertheless, if we talk about RGB or if we talk about tunable white or the color temperature, this you have to do finally on the app or from the app side. Okay? So, and finally, I want, for instance, so to finalize, to finish this in total, I want finally to control one of these LED stripes directly with a motion detector. For instance, this monochrome LED light above is controlling, for instance, my corridor or my staircase or whatever. And there I have installed the new motion detector, so which is finally the BI 180, or better, I think it's, I show it here. So this exactly, this nice motion detector. We do have here manual override. So you discover here, you can press it, yeah. So that means you can on off. You have here with this sensor area here, you have here a large detecting area, 14 by 17 meters, which is quite a lot. Installation height in total is approximately 1.3 meters, or typical height of push buttons. And what you discover from the rear side is finally you have just to apply the bus communication to Luxor Living, and that's it. So that means, and this one I want now to link directly to one of these lights. So this is the trigger, not just only a push button coming from the Eon. I just want to control it with a motion detector as well. And if I have more motion detectors, because the corridor is rather long or whatever, so then you can implement here as well a slave. So in my case, it's just a single solution. So that means it is the master. The light situation is probably in our studio. So due to that, I put it here to a value which is rather high, because we do have here a lot of, let's say, LED flashlights and so on. And the delay time I want to reduce to, for instance, 30 seconds. Yeah. Sensitivity you can modify between more sensitive or standard. I leave it in standard and done. So there is no big deal finally to do so. In terms of the application settings, there are just a few less possibilities finally, and so the programming is finally done. So well, then what we have to do now, probably you know, now we have to move to the system, to program the system now, which I'm starting now. And now the program, yeah, this is okay, that we do not have any panic and so on. Affiliated doesn't matter. So I need a password, and now the download, the configuration shall get started. So that means this takes now a few seconds time, and during this time, so I want to talk about so what is finally the ability of these dimmer. Again, so just this to remind this, we can apply here any kind of LED stripes. We can apply here chandeliers or whatever with DALI ballast or DALI switch gears, for instance. We can apply here, like mentioned, DALI relays. But what you have to know is finally, so if you have affiliated on channel 1 here, for instance, monochrome lights, so then you can just control monochrome light. If you apply here monochrome and colored light and color temperature and probably a relay, so it will work definitively. Yeah, it will work, it will operate definitively, but you have to know you can switch on altogether and they will work. It will work definitively. You can dim up or dim down, it will work definitively, but you can't change any color temperatures or you can't change the color of these stripes. Okay, you got me? Broadcast means channel controls and sense are on off, a common on off control command, and sense finally a common dimming command, however, for all lights which are applied to channel 1, to channel 2, to channel 3, to channel 4. Okay, you got me? So in the meantime, I have started here to prepare for Luxo Play, and this will automatically for all of you, for instance, who haven't probably seen or haven't known. So this small project, which I did currently, so the software converts directly into an app solution. And while I was talking, the software did the entire work. So let's see what happens. So for that purpose, we go to this picture here or this camera view. So we will see what will happen. So first of all, I want to show how you can operate here. So you see here we have 20, 50, 75 and 100%. So anytime you can operate here manually. It works. So I do have here channel 1 on the Eon. So I can switch on. This is 50% light intensity or dimming value, however. And if I hold, so definitely you discover, so the dimmer is dimming up and the dimmer is dimming down, or short click, it switches off. Next step, we do have here switching on. In this case, we do have here as well 50% dimming up, dimming down. It definitely, it will work. I choose here the color temperature. So I start here to dim up, so 10%, you discover, oh, it's quite less. But holding the push button, you see it dims up now. You can dim up, you can dim down, sure. But to control the color temperature, so for that purpose now, we need exactly the app. For that purpose, I open now the Luxo Play app. So here we go. Please wait. Yes, I'm patiently waiting. So, and you discover now, we do get here a certain feedback. So this feedback finally, 100% is exactly what we get here in this reasonable, let's say, demo panel. I dim down and you discover, okay, the dimming is definitively going down. If I click on this one, so I can now change the color temperature. Currently, it is, let's say, a reasonable, warm, shining light. I go here to the icy cold light, so the cold colors, and you discover here the color temperature here is changing rather fast. Okay, can operate here, sure. And we can modify here, sure. So you have both options, either from the app side or from the EON side. So then let's start, for instance, the color. So on the bottom side here, so this is exactly what we get here. We have a reasonable color. I open here this color picker, for instance, turn to a different color. Now it turns more to a reasonable blue. Or probably it turns here to a reasonable green, or somewhere in between blue and green, however. So you see it changes, it works, and finally we want to have the reasonable red, for instance, and intensive red. And okay, and probably if I dim a little bit more down so you see the color more intensive. The difficulty, I have to say, we do have here a camera tapping exactly here the situation which we get. We do have here a lot of, let's say, LED floodlights, and this is in this case sometimes a little bit difficult to get a real good view on the different colors, but I think you could discover, okay, it works definitively. Yeah? So I switch off. So and we talked about, let's say, the motion detector, and I have integrated the motion detector now in the project. So that means on this LED stripe I have linked to. So and if I open the cover now, so you discover, okay, this light is switching on the reasonable, let's say, light value, and after 30 seconds it turns off again. Why I do have this cover, you know, the PIR is not passing through any kind of material. Due to that, I put a cover upon, and after, again, these 30 seconds, it should turn off. Then, after this elapsed time, we can, or I can do the other thing, the other way wrong. So that means anytime you see, I can override. I think this is important for you to know. So this is a function of the manual override. You can't dim up or dim down, but you can switch on. Okay? So I leave it in off. And here on my specific board, I do have here switch over. And with this switch over, I switch now to the relay. And with the push button here, for that purpose, I shall DALI dimmer T1, yes. You see here now, I can switch on and I can switch off. Now this LED light is deactivated, so the DALI communication is just here. And from the standards, if you deactivate or you disconnect a DALI communication, so then by default this DALI ballast switches on as a kind of emergency light. So don't wonder if this light is turning on. So you see it works as well. And nevertheless, if we talk about LED lights or if we talk about finally the dimmer, however. Okay, that's more or less all to talk about for today. So the question is to the control panel. Any questions? Okay.
There is one question: how many lights we can have on each DALI light?
On each DALI light. So I mentioned at the beginning, but nevertheless I repeat it with pleasure. So that means 30. You can apply on each channel. Could be 30 lights, could be 30 relays, could be 30 LED stripes or whatever. Whatever is possible. This is according to DALI 2 standard. Okay? Thanks attending our webinar today, and we count on you. See you next time.